Welcome to our fourth episode of the Student Sports Advocacy Podcast. I'm joined by
Patrick Moon.
and we have Mr. Warren here with us today. For starters, do you want to go and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Rod Warren. I've been a teacher at King since we opened up, and a total of 36 years as a teacher and coach.
Okay. So for our first question, how has mental and physical health impacted your teams, and what did you do to try and help them?
Mental has not always been such a big thing as far as my players, but physical. I coached football for a long time, and the physical aspect of football, especially, is pretty draining on the kids. So I've had several kids who were taken off the field with head, neck, leg injuries. So just coming back from that's pretty tough. The mental. Um, since I coach mostly the lower levels, there's not a whole bunch of pressure to be successful.
In your opinion, how important is the promotion of these sports and promotion of the games in of themselves?
Promoting the games has become, in the 36 years, 10 times more important. Getting people to the games, supporting the team. It's all about money nowadays. The more people we draw to like a football game, the more money ASB makes, and then the money goes around. 10 times more important nowadays about promoting the game and getting people there than when I started.
So you've coached multiple sports, and how do you think your experience coaching these multiple sports have shaped your overall coaching philosophy across different teams?
Okay, so I've coached softball, football, boys basketball, girls basketball. Each one is pretty different. How has my philosophy changed? In 36 years, it's definitely changed over the time. Athletes have changed. Parents, for sure, have changed. Expectations of teachers and coaches have changed. I mean, I used to be able to go out and grab a kid by the face mask and say, "What the hell are you doing?" Now I would be fired. Sorry, Miss Chan.
Would you say that there's anything that motivates you internally as a coach to keep moving forward, to keep going on these sports for however long you've done it for?
You know what? Just the different nature of it. I mean, classroom is one thing, really structured. Then you go out and coach. It's not so structured. You have to react to what your players. You have to react to the score on the field. You have to react to every single thing. So in class, it's like dial down. I have my lessons. This. Coaching's opposite. You have to react.
So what does a healthy coach-athlete relationship look like to you?
Again, in 30 years, that's totally changed. Also, what's a healthy relationship with athletes right now? It's kind of like teaching. It's built upon respect. I'll use Sarani as an example. If she was one of my athletes, we respect each other. She is super nice and she works hard, and I'm super nice and work hard most of the time too. So that's a good relationship. When the relationship doesn't work is when there's a lack of respect on one side.
Do you notice any struggles or any mental issues or any problems that student athletes have, especially while they're performing in their sport or wherever they go?
Well, there's that aspect of you guys, student athletes have to be students first. So there's the pressure of the classroom, and especially at King, most of our good kids are in AP or honors classes. Then they go out to a sport, and then so the time pressure is one thing, because then they go out and play their sport. I'll use Sarani as an example again, sorry. But she goes out and has to hit 9 holes a day after school, and then she has to go home and do 4 hours of homework or whatever it is that she's doing with her AP classes. That's a lot of pressure on students nowadays. So I don't know if teachers understand that so much, because there are some teachers who are dialed into, you have to know my work. And so that's a lot of pressure.
How much do you think being an athlete changes your academic life?
It definitely gives you something to work for. The harder you work out there, I think you're going to work that hard in the classroom too. They go hand in hand. You have goals. You want to be better, you're going to have the same goals in the classroom, I think, most of the time.
So, because of the amount of goals that these different student athletes have and all these different agendas that they want to address, we wanted to ask you, in terms of a coach, did you ever have like a moment or two where student athletes wouldn't exactly listen to what you said during practice or try to do something more above and beyond what you told them to do in practice?
Okay, so it sounds like you might be talking about my last year coaching football here, which was not the COVID year. That was a good year.
Mm-hmm.
But it was 2 years before that when we had a transition between one coach to another coach.
Mm-hmm.
And the senior players, they had their own agenda. They didn't listen to the coaches. They were disrespectful. They would tell the coaches to F off quite often. And that was the worst year ever. So the expectations as coaches and the players has to be the same.
So, what do you enjoy most working with athletes?
What I enjoy most about working with athletes is the same thing I like working with students. I like kids, fresh ideas, fresh thoughts. You guys are usually 95% of you are happy. So that rubs off on, you know, the coaches. I mean, who wouldn't want to be around happy kids who want to work hard and strive for success? So that's what kept me young for all that time. If I was out there every year like the last year I had for football, I would have retired from that 20 years ago.
So, what specifically drew you to coaching, like all these different sports teams that you've coached?
I was a high school athlete. I played football, basketball, baseball, all three sports for 3 years, and then golf my last year, which I sucked. But just being an athlete, once high school's over and you don't go play in college, you got to do something with it. So might as well go coach. And yeah.
Would you say mental health ever played a role before the pandemic start in terms of your coaching?
There was always an issue with kids being sad or feeling too much pressure, but I don't think the pandemic has anything to do with that. I'm tired of using that as a crutch. There's always been kids who are at pressure. We still have pressure, and it wasn't the pandemic that made it worse.
What do you think was the biggest change between your coaching now and your coaching when you first started?
Parents are out of control nowadays because they all think their kid's going to be a D1 college athlete, and they're willing to do anything, say anything to make that happen. And a lot of times what they say is not true. The pressure they put on the kids and the coaches, and that translates, they put pressure on the kids and the coaches, if they don't do what the parent wants, then they go to the administration, and then we have all sorts of this cycle of pressure put upon everybody. So who wants to coach in that situation?
So, if you could go back in time and tell your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, definitely coach. I mean, the positive memories of coaching, I'll go into Bonds or Albertsons and run into old players, and they still remember. Some of them still remember that our record that we had that year. My first year coaching basketball at North Vista, my team went 16-0, and the team still gets together. And back then we got together for sodas. Now we're old. We might have a beer. You might have to edit that too.
Would you say that there are any pros or cons of being both a teacher but also a coach?
Pros and cons of being a teacher and a coach. Yeah, there's pros and cons about life. Coaching is life, and teaching is life. So there's always positives. I mean, I get hanging out with you guys every day, but for the 10 of you guys, I have one who's not you guys, who's I have to kick in the butt, and that's a negative to get to do what you want. So,
What's one thing you wish athletes understood more about coaches?
gosh, again, now I'm going back to that 1 year of football because all my other experiences were positive. It's we want you to succeed too. If we tell you we want you out there at 3 o'clock, we don't want you at 3:30 because we want to get you home just as much as we want to get home. So just we have expectations. We'd love for you to meet the expectations.
What are some of the challenges you face being the head coach of a new and developing sport on campus?
Well, I was never the head coach of a varsity team. I've always been the head coach of a freshman team or a JV team. Uh, so the pressure of varsity sport coach is way more than what I experienced. I just had to deal with parents wanting their kids to play a certain amount of minutes during basketball and things like that.
So what would you say is your most rewarding aspect of your job?
Hanging out with great kids, and the win-loss record is awesome, but more importantly is the relationship. Like I said, going into Albertsons and seeing my old players, and just chatting together about what they're doing now, and things like that.
Would you say that facilities or access to equipment has a significant impact on athletes' performances and confidence?
Well, yeah, because if you have access to, say, a weight room,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be able to get stronger. Obviously, you're going to get better. If you have access, if you're a runner, if you have access to, the proper shoes, things like that. I come from Norte Vista, which is obviously, during at least when I coached there, a different place than King High School is today, where money and other things were way different. So we had to make up for what they lacked in different ways to hopefully bring up them. So yeah,
So from your experience working with athletes, what do you think are the biggest challenges that they face?
the kids managing time for sure, and if they have pressure from their parents to be D1, or I mean, one day I remember picking up my son from a basketball game where he made a mistake, and we drove home, and he was all upset. And I was like, dude, it's one game. But the other kids' parents were different because they had expectations. They're going D1. I knew my son wasn't, so I was good with it.
What do you think is the best way for student athletes to relieve that type of mental pressure that they put on themselves to do better?
That's an individual thing because each kid puts their own pressure upon themselves. Each deal with different pressure. I mean, it's our job as a coach to just if say during a basketball game you're getting pressure to take you out and talk you down, but uh, if Sarani's on, golfer's out there by herself on the golf course, I'm not there with her. She hits a double bogey or something like that. She's got to talk herself down. So it's all about what your expectations that you have for yourself are and pressure.
Because you were a coach for so long and because you have all this experience, would you say that there's always a specific training, specific regiment, specific book that basically dictates how you should play the game, how you should do things? Or do you think it's more of a adaptive approach?
It's an accumulation of many different things. Is there one way to coach? Heck no. I've read 36 different books from great basketball coaches, and not one of them said do the same thing. So same with being a great athlete for your own program. There's different programs for different kids. You got to pick and choose what's going to make you successful. Some kids, more hard work, more in your face. Some kids just leave them alone; they'll adapt.
So finally, what's one message that you want all student athletes to hear?
I think what I always try to teach my kids. Uh, Number one thing is to have fun. You know, win, loss, or success. I would get fired having a team that had fun and was 0-16. You know, if you don't want me to coach, did they have fun? Yeah, they went 0-16, but did they have fun? Did they learn? Did they improve? So, yeah, that's the biggest thing to me. And that was the biggest thing for my boys when they played. And, did you have fun today? You know, so things like that.
All right. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Warren.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Thanks.